Alright guys, so it's been a couple of months of using this hopper mod. I wanted to go ahead and give you an update as to what my findings are. I just pulled this out. This is pretty much exactly how it came out. Now you can see I don't have two middle ones in at the moment, and I'll explain that in a bit, but I just want to show you, this is what they look like. They do have a little bit more play in them now, so they have, with that heat that's been on them, it's definitely caused them to loosen up a bit, but they've pretty much stayed in place. You can see, they were a little bit angled off to the side a little bit, so the weight of the coals, pushed them a bit to one side or the other. So there's a little bit of that's happened with them. Now, I have these two middle ones out, and I cleaned them up just so that you could see, what they look like, cleaned up. So you can see there's, a little bit of discoloration in them, but really they're still, basically as strong as they were. And I mean, I expected that. They're skewers. They're meant to be on heat, right? So they still work just fine. Now I've kept the middle ones out. Well, I shouldn't say I kept them out. I took them out because I have a way that I really kind of use these. So when you have these when you have this mod in place, it does end up restricting the heat a bit because the airflow doesn't go as well through that, because you're holding a lot more of the smaller pieces in place. And if there's not enough gaps in the air, it won't let the heat get up as high. So I've had no problem getting up into that 600, 550, 600 range with all four of these in. But if I want to get to 700, it sometimes won't work with all of them in, because you just don't have enough gaps in there to allow it to flow through. And so if I have a day where I want to do that, and I want to make sure I actually get up to 700 degrees, what I'll do is I'll have them in, and I will just simply pull them out. So just to kind of show you here, this is from this gap, if you can actually access this. So put it back in. Gotta flip them over. So you can put them in through the gap on the side there, and when this is actually inside, before you light it up, you can just reach in here, and grab these couple and just go ahead and pull them out. And then that gives you a little bit more airflow. It'll cause some more coals to drop down. A little more airflow. And with me, that's been enough where I've been able to get it up to the 700 degrees. You can see that they are looser than they were before. So the heat has, like I said, loosened them up a bit. So you can, again, put more of a bend on them if you want to try and get them to sit in there more solidly, some things like that. But it has worked from that standpoint. There was a couple of questions as well regarding my stack. So now I just did pull this out, so this is just the coals. What I found is with the chunk charcoal, it definitely does help. The pieces are smaller that go through. You'll still have some chunks that go through, but they're smaller pieces. They're not as big as other ones were. With the standard charcoal, not the chunk, really it's basically been just ash for me. So trying a couple different ways. For me, it's just been ash, but I'm not sure if other people will have a different experience with that. But that's what I've discovered. So that doesn't really tell you anything with this. I've already had that cleaned out, but let me, I guess, just show you the inside of the box from this angle. Just get an idea what that might look like. And then we go from the top. So you can see now this is my box after several months of using this, and I have not cleaned this out, and so it's as dirty as it'll be, I guess, at this point. But you can see the bottom, there is a little bit of discoloration that's down there. Just to reach down there, you can't, it's hard for me to reach and you see at the same time, but basically none of that is really chipping away in any way. It definitely looks more, let me just take a peek here. Yeah, right here there's a little bit of that rust in the bottom, where on this outside edge, where you can actually feel a little bit of that rust there. You can see a little bit there. So there's a little bit of that that's down there. And this is after several months. I don't really have that at the top, right? Not much. I see a little teeny bit of coloration here, but that's, you know, just a couple little spots. But this is after several months of using this. I feel like, and you know, maybe it's with the mod. You can actually see though up here, there's some condensation. I'm doing this in the morning, so some condensation got up in there, and I feel like really the result of this is that if some condensation gets inside, it will actually cause some of the rust that's inside the box. I don't really think it's anything to do with the mod. I think it's really just the nature of the box, and that there's some condensation that will form on occasion, and that can cause some of the trouble. So I just wanted to call that out. That's what I've basically been seeing. So probably a way that they could, I guess, make this work better would be to have some type of a vent up here that you could open, so that it could just allow that condensation to get out more easily. Because if you got a nice seal, which these, you know, this is actually sealing pretty well, that's going to cause some problems eventually over time. So I think that's what it is, basically just some condensation there. So I just wanted to call that out. Close that back up. So I guess the summary of this is the mod is working pretty well. I know you can actually put these in so that they go across instead, and that's definitely fine to do it that way. The only thing, if you do it that way, is you wouldn't be able to as easily, you know, pull them out without actually dumping out the whole box. And so, but you could definitely do it that way as well if you want to put them across this way instead to have more of a crisscross. Totally fine, whatever works for you. And again, you may have to adapt a little bit based upon, you know, are you using chunk, are you using normal charcoal, how do you actually want to use this. But for me, it's worked pretty well. It's definitely made the fuel, I guess, it uses up the fuel a lot better. One thing with this as well, though, that I will note, I never did put a middle piece in, so that's where it lights up. I actually just wanted to have more airflow in that spot where it lights up. Makes it easier to light. So that was important to me to do that. And so that's exactly why I did it. So I left that as is, and it's worked pretty well. And like I said, if I ever need to pull a couple out to get my temperature up, I can do that. If that's not working, you could always, you know, slide these off to the side a little bit, or you can even reach in underneath and pull these ones out too if you needed to. So the options are there with this. I think it's just easy to put together, and easy to, I guess, dial it back if you need to. So that's the summary of it. Hopefully that answers some of those questions that you guys had. As far as the grill itself, hey, I've been happy. You know, it's been working well. The one thing I still have not done is swap out that, you know, that front thermometer. I think that's in the future. So I'm going to be working on that pretty soon here. But it's been busy around here. I've been doing a lot of other stuff. So that's why I've not posted a video for a while. But yeah, so hopefully this helps you guys, and keep grilling. We'll talk to you later.